Okay, I think we're live, Krista.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hey, guys, listen, thank you very, very much for being here. It is another episode of Lunch Talk. It is 1 p.m. Central Time, the year of our Lord 2022, and I've got a very special guest for you. Today, we're talking about hitting goals with time travel. Yeah, time travel, question mark. We're going to explain this in a second as Coach Kevin comes on, and like he says, get ready to open the floodgates. We'll be back with you in less than 30 seconds. Hit it, Donnie. Ooh. Hey, Kevin, welcome to Lunch Talk Live. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just figured there's a whole crowd just applauding you on. We were just playing around with some sound stuff here right before we went live, and we figured out, hey, we finally figured out why you guys aren't hitting the sound effects the way we're hearing them on this side. So you know what? Maybe it's just for us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fine.
We
Maybe
just
it's
entertain ourselves.
Yeah, it's just for us. I am again welcomed and back here with my awesome co-host, Krista. Krista, how was your week, girl?
Oh, it was amazing. I got my hair done just for you guys.
Got your hair did?
Yeah, don't expect it to look like this.
I was actually going to be like, wow. I mean, normally you come in like right after a sweat session.
I know.
You're like, whew, just finished working out. I'm back.
Not today. Not today. It's
Not
clean.
today. Awesome. Well, I'm actually really pumped for you guys to meet Coach Kevin. So Coach Kevin and I have known each other for some time. I've been a part of a couple different programs where this man specifically was my coach. And so we have a lot of personal stories you're not going to get to hear about. That's just between us. But let me tell you what, there was a lot of things that this man has said in my life at different times. And I found it extremely important right now to be talking about. So we're going to get into it a little bit. But first things first, Coach Kevin, man, again, welcome. Introduce yourself a little bit. Tell our audience about who you are and what you're doing. Sorry, Donnie.
Thanks.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead. It's all you.
It's all good, man. Thank you. I'm Coach Kevin, founder of Forge Legend, right? Forge Legend is a place where we basically we inspire people to live their legend. There is legend in every life. There are legendary pieces of you. The problem is most people never give themselves permission to actually chase that legend, right? And that's a big damn word, legend. Like, I mean, we're not saying live cool. We're not saying live great. We're saying live legendary because you can. You can absolutely create the life you want to live if you'll take the tools in your hand and start pounding out the precious metal that's your life right now.
Oh, you know that speaks to my soul, Rigo.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say the big, hairy, audacious goals, and I was like,
I'm ready to hug Coach Kevin.
I know it. No, I love it. So here was one of the things that I thought was really important. First off, does anybody know what day it is today, right now? It is the last day of quarter one.
Oh, yeah.
So for many of us in the corporate world, they are looking at how they're going to be able to achieve certain aspects or goals. They're reassessing what they put into play in the beginning of the year. Okay, so this is a very critical moment because I believe that there is still time for people to understand how to, just like I said, leverage time as a weapon versus having time being a crutch in their goal setting or achieving the things they want to achieve. And there are some elements here to this that I really want to get in. I mean, I want to dive right into this because I'm going to be honest, the hour is not going to be enough time with Coach Kevin. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Is that ironic, Rigo? Is that irony I hear?
No, I'm just telling you, it's not going to be enough time. So I want to get right into it because time travel is real. And I want to kind of drop this on Kevin and Coach. Get to work, man. Let's share with some of these people how they can change their life through this teaching right here.
So here's the thing. First, like ready to go, right? Like right out of the gate, what you need to understand is what time is and what it isn't. First thing, time is a really cool social connection tool that's a measure of distance.
Okay.
Yeah, I just said that. A social connection tool that's actually a measure of distance. And I'll get into that in just a second.
I told Donnie, I was like, where's my pen? I forgot my pen.
What is not is actually real. What it doesn't have is any power that you don't give it, right? Time is literally invented, right? And I can prove this to you, okay? So let me break it down for you, okay? What is a day? I want you in your mind right now, think about what is a day, right? A lot of people say 24 hours. Okay, yeah, that's how we divide the day, but that's not what it is. The day is the earth going around one time. Like literally, if we just sit still and in the universe, we go around, bam, that's one day. That's it, right? You go to Mars, day's not the same. You go to Venus, you go to any other planet, there's no such thing as a day, not the way we know it, because the day is just the earth around. Well, what is a year? The year is the earth around the sun one time. What's a month? The month is the moon around the earth one time. Now, these are really useful measures of quote unquote time, but think about what they really are. They're nothing, they're distance. An hour, right, is just 1/24th of the earth on its axis one time. So we say, well, I have an hour. We're saying, well, I'm going to travel a certain amount of space as the globe I'm sitting on spins, right? Imagine, I want you to, for a second, if you really want to understand time, I want you for a second, when you were born, there's this little red dot that existed onto the earth. And everywhere you travel, that little dot follows you, right? And so there's this red line everywhere that you've been in your whole life. And that's easy to do geographically. But remember, also, you're spinning around the earth. Also, that earth is traveling around the sun. If you are in a coma for a year, you've traveled millions and millions and millions of miles just with the earth spinning and then going all the way around the sun every year. Now, this is really important, okay? Like, you've got to ground yourself in what time really is. Okay, because I know what we use time for, and it's great. It's a connection tool. Like, truthfully, without a clock, there's no way we would all three be on here at the same time. So time is letting us connect because we made up a way. We're like, man, this sucks. Like, it sucks to travel all the way somewhere, and then I don't even know if I'll see the person I wanted to see because we don't have any way of syncing up, being in the same location. Time is just like an extension of GPS, right? It's called an hour. Why? Well, what do we call the meridians? They're also hours. Because remember, a day is just the earth on its axis one time. It's a way for us to be in the same place at the same moment. Now, once you have that as the context, you can start to understand time because it doesn't really exist. Like, your mind doesn't remember the last 40 years of your life, 20 years of your life with a timestamp. It just that's not how it works. For people, all we really have is right now. We will only ever have right now, like, as a conscious human being, right? Powerfully imperfect as I am, I only ever exist right now. And then the next now, and the next now, and the next now. So when we talk about travel, we'll get into this in a minute because I want to let someone else talk. But like Rigo said.
No. Listen, Chris, come on. Yeah, I know. I'm like, no.
Listen, Coach Kevin, I have some major questions for you. So
I'll
hear what you've got. And then I've got some questions because time for a mama, time for my clients feels like nothing. Like it's gone. So I have lots of questions for you.
It has this tremendous pressure and no real substance at the same time, right? Yes. The time can put this huge pressure on us. And then in the moment, it's like my kids, right? So I've coached thousands of people, right? Over 25,000 men, over 5,000 women, thousands and thousands of people that I've coached, right? And time has this pressure. Why? Because of this thing right here that's between my ears. Because of my mind. It's not really real. Okay, the sun will rise, the earth will spin, but time is just measuring that, right? Time is just, I want to be able to meet you guys in a certain place, and I want us both to be there at the same moment. Time lets us do that. It lets the whole freaking economy go. That's awesome, right? But actually, I'm only ever existing right now.
Ooh, Coach Kevin, hold on. I just had a moment. So I coach women in their health and weight loss journey. And one of the big things that they always say to me is, this isn't going fast enough. I'm not getting to where I want to be fast enough. And what you just said, I just had like a total brain blow up. It's not that they're not meeting their weight loss. It's they're not meeting their future self. They're trying to excel their future self instead of being present and doing what is needed in that present moment to get to their future self. But this pressure that they're putting on themselves for that month is not falling in alignment with the action of what they're doing in the now. And so that's why there's this disconnect. Am I on the right path?
Oh, look at Coach Kevin is like, oh.
Listen, yes, there's a disconnect because the future doesn't exist. It's made up right here, right? So I made up this imaginary thing, right, that I could lose. So I'm personally on a weight loss thing. Like Rigo's known me forever. I've been obese for probably 10 years. Ever since my dad died, I just like decided that the way to love myself was eating, right? Yeah. And I've been on this thing, and I would lose tons of weight. I've run 2 different Ironman races, 2 Ironman 70.3s at over 300 pounds. This is not something people do. Like I was like the Winnebago in the all the race cars are going by.
The Winnebago of Ironman.
Yeah, there was like this really old man on the course at the very end of the run on my last Ironman, and he's like old and he's struggling to get to the road. I could tell he's doing his version of running, so I kind of slowed down. He's like, "You are my hero." He's like, "You don't belong out here. This is awesome." So the thing is, I always set up this imaginary expectation that 10 years of bad choices, okay, in 3 months I can undo all that. Now, who decided that? I did. It's just random. I'm not even qualified, obviously, right, to know if that's true or not. Like but I just decided. So I created an imaginary expectation, and then as I start moving through quote unquote time, which again I'm putting onto myself, I realized, oh man, I'm not going to make it. And then the pressure of the imaginary failure because of the imaginary timeline that I created now sits heavy on me. And what's the best way to relieve that? Fucking chocolate and peanut butter, right? Like just that. It's crazy, but here's the thing. When you start to understand what time is and isn't, you can have some real fun in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, because the past, you can change the past. Okay, you're always creating the future. You create the future right now. Think about this, right? I wish I would have had one. I usually have these all over my office, but I got rid of them all. Is an hourglass. Like I want you to imagine an hourglass, right? So in the hourglass is a sand up at the top, right? We all talk about, right? Life's like an hourglass glued to the table. I think that's a song or something, right? At the sand at the top, it falls through. There's only one bead through the middle, and then you have in the bottom. Then you have the bottom where it lands, right? Now I want you to think about, in that graph, where is the future and where is the past? Right? Inside of the hourglass, where is the future, where is the past? And most people will immediately say, well, the past is the present is easy. The present is the middle. It's that one grain of sand. Here's what I want you to realize. The past is not above you. I am reaching up into the future and creating it into my past. My past is down below. I own my past forever. Whatever sand falls into that past, it's created, it's mine. Something that happened to me 10 years ago, no one can ever take that away from me. It's mine. I have it. It's a part of me. It's a piece of me.
Good or bad? Good or bad?
All of it.
Yeah, it is your past. It's not. It's not good or bad. It's not saying that something is not bad if it's not bad, but it's still your past. So it's your past.
And so just to go back to this visual moment that you're creating is when you flip the hourglass, it's the same sand, which is the past that ran through the present moment, right? And so it's not new sand that gets put at the top of the hourglass. It's flipped and it's the same sand. So it's the same experiences. And so in essence gets recycled throughout our present time because it is our past.
If you watch this though, because as humans, right, I wish we could flip it. I mean, people are trying to figure out how to do that, right? But we get one shot. Here's the thing. At some point, the thing just caps off. We don't even get to use all the sand. Our cemeteries are filled with millions of people who didn't live half their life.
Oh, that's
who were alive but never lived, never truly lived. Right? Seneca talked about this all the time. That there are just so many of us who are existing. We're not even living. We're just existing. We're just doing the next thing. Right? Like the cemeteries are filled with those people. So the sand above you is infinite and endless. You're not going to use it all.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Right, you're not. But what it's to us, very few of us do this, and it's what we teach in Forge Legend is I reach up into that shit and find what I want and pull it into my past. Like I'm reaching up into the future and saying, hey, what do I really want to create, and how do I put that into my past? Right? That is what I want to own because I can use time because that whole hourglass isn't real. It's something. It's a mechanism of my mind to help make sense of the fact that I am a being that only ever exists right now. But I have like millions of right nows that I can remember because obviously I'm 46 years old. And when you start multiplying that by seconds, it's depressing. Not really, but you get the idea, right? Like I have all these now. So how do I reconcile that? Well, time is a pretty good way to do that in our head. But remember, it's not what it really is. It's just the way that we organize it, right? Like, I don't know if you remember in chemistry, or not chemistry, but was it chemistry? Yeah, chemistry. You learn about the atom, right?
Yeah.
And it's got this beautiful little nucleus with protons and neutrons, and then there's these electrons that spin around in these perfect circles, right? Well, no, it doesn't look like that at all in real life. But why do we keep teaching it? We keep teaching this model that we know is not what an atom really looks like. Well, it's a really good way to learn the atom. It's a really good way to understand it, whether or not that's what it really looks like. Time is the same thing. It's just super effective for us, but it starts to screw us up. Time starts to trip us up because we start thinking in absolutes. Like the past is dead. I can never change anything in the past. That's not true because you and every other human being always exist right now. Right now. That's all we ever have. So I'll give you an example. Like, what's a mistake that you're willing to admit to making on this call today, Kristen? Like in your past, if you go back in your past,
you pick me. We go, did you tell him to do this?
Listen, I have nothing to do with it.
A mistake that I'm willing to admit to
just in your past, though. So it's got to be a while back. Like,
okay.
I mean, it could be yesterday, but that'll be less interesting.
Okay, so I was a very aggressive teammate, and it's something that I think about often. But I was not very compassionate at all. It was very black and white and very aggressive with my teammates on whether they did a good job or did not do a good job.
Perfect. Awesome. So let's think about a specific instance. Like, can you think of a specific instance? Maybe there's somebody, maybe they're watching right now. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they probably are.
Still looks amazing.
Yeah,
I hate it.
We were in a championship game, and my middle blocker missed the block. She went the wrong direction. She read the ball wrong, went the wrong direction, and missed the ball. And it was a game-ending point. We were neck and neck. You have to win by 2, and it went right off of her pinky finger, and then it was out. And I was super frustrated and upset and pretty aggressive with her about her missing that because this hitter had a tendency, and she knew the tendency, and we had talked about it all pregame, and she got tricked and went the wrong direction. And I lit her up pretty good about it. It was not my best moment. It was not my best moment.
Wouldn't it be cool if you go back in time and undo that?
100%. Yes.
Right.
Especially with this hindsight, right?
Right. Exactly. So who's the person? Can you tell me who the blocker is? Like, you can just say a fake name. I don't know.
Yeah. Her name's Tanya.
Perfect. Tanya. So if you could go back in time, how many years ago was that?
12.
Perfect. 12 years ago, you go back in time and do it different.
Yeah.
Right? What would that be worth?
I mean, a lot. I think it would be worth a lot.
Cool. So watch. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. First things first.
Okay.
Everyone watches like, wow, can't we do this?
Oh, when I said time travel, I wasn't kidding.
Going back. I'm saying
I wasn't kidding.
First things first. You cannot physically go 12 years back. I know there's a bunch of fitness guys that are crying.
Dang it.
They're going to go back and get their muscles and bring them forward. It doesn't work.
Yes.
So physically, we can't go back. No, that's true. Okay. But here's the cool thing. 12 years, right? So that's 365 days. It's a whole lot of days, right? So it's 5,000 days-ish, right? I'm probably off a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So 5,000 days have passed since then for you and also for Tanya. You're both different people, okay? Here's the cool thing. Through all 5,000 of those days, you were just Krista right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so is she. And she's not dead and you're not dead, right? A lot of the times, like, let me talk to you about a different kind of client who talks to me about this all the time, like a dad who just didn't show up. Maybe there's a divorce. Maybe he ended up, the relationship never really worked out, and then that guy just never showed up. And now it tends to be like the son or the daughter is 16, they're showing up, and then I end up with this client who just is ridden with guilt. Like, how do I make up for that 16 years? What the hell do I do? Right? I always tell them, hey, you can go back in time with this. Just like you can go back with Tanya, because you can right now, Krista, and you already did it on this call, but you could even do it more, become someone different.
Yeah.
Live in that reality. Live in that integrity. And when you see Tanya, you say, you know what, man, if I could go back, I would have done this. And then continue to live in that reality. And if you play the game again and the same thing happened and you act different, what will happen to her because she is just like you living in the now, right? Is the whole story gets changed. If I don't know my daughter till she's 16, but then at the point she's 16, I start showing up every day for the rest of her life, watch how the whole story changes. Up to 16, it's like, I don't have a dad. This guy's a deadbeat. It's horrible. The second that I change, now everything becomes the prelude to what is.
Yeah, I love that.
Because everybody lives that way, is what is.
Yes. And this is so amazing because of who my clientele is and who I work with. And their hurt is not necessarily other people. There is this hurt between the relationship that they have with themselves, right? Like they let themselves down. They haven't shown up. They haven't stuck up for themselves. They haven't chosen to move their body. They haven't chosen to eat the right food. They haven't chosen to take care of their health. They put everybody else first. And so that shame and guilt and regret is not necessarily with a child or a spouse. It is that same shame, guilt, and regret with how they feel about themselves and how they've taken care of themselves. And so the picture that you just painted, to be able to go back and sit with yourself in the present moment and make a decision that every present moment you're given can be different, and that you're going to start showing up and providing evidence for that change. My mind in 21 minutes has been completely blown, and my clients are going to be so much better for it.
Think about this. Because you're a person who only ever lives in now, right? We are powerfully imperfect, like just ephemeral, like just quick beings. We're here for like a flash and then we're gone, right? I just changed your whole past with this conversation, because now you're like, oh, I see what a bitch I was, and now I see how not to be that bitch, and this is cool.
Yeah,
do this.
I've worked a lot on that, on not being that bitch.
If you've seen,
little late, Daddy, little late.
If you've seen The Last Dance, right? So if you've seen The Last Dance, this documentary about the Chicago Bulls,
incredible.
I
Yeah,
highly recommend. But there's one moment where Michael Jordan starts crying, and he stops the whole interview.
Yep.
And he's remembering how hard he pushed his teammates.
Yeah.
And he's not crying because he was an asshole. He's crying because they just didn't understand what it took to win. And I didn't really care if they understood. I was going to make sure we did what it took to win. He's crying because he realizes, man, I hurt people, but I hurt them. That's why they're wearing the damn rings, because I did that. But they didn't understand that. And that made me, man, I wish that I could. But he did. In that moment, every damn teammate who ever rode way too hard, who watched that thing, I swear to you, will rewrite the entire past, because anytime we're remembering what happened in the past, it's happening right now. We are experiencing a picture of the past that our brain conjures of what happened, right? You ever see a picture of yourself when you're little, and there's no way you could remember it, but you've seen it so many times that you actually start to manufacture this weird memory. Like, there's a picture of me when I'm 2, and I'm sitting on this like clothesline thing with my dad, and he's like full 70s beard, tough guy. And like, I have this memory of, there's no way I have a memory of that. I'm 1 year old. I manufactured the memory because I just saw the picture so many times, right? It's just how our brain works. Like, but that's perfect. That's beautiful for us, because it means we really can change the past. We really can change by just being who we need to be right now. So for clients who are on a weight loss journey, right? Like I am, I'm finally just a bit down, and it's just working. Like, everything about my body is changing right now. Everything, and I feel it from the inside out, almost like I'm built of better materials. Awesome. But it's because I started just loving myself right now. Hey, what can I do about it? Like before this call, I was kind of nervous. I was starving. What am I getting? I pounded a fucking huge salad. I can show you the giant bowl. Why not the normal chocolate, peanut butter, surprise, whatever? Because I've realized, like, hey, that doesn't really serve me. But I am really hungry, and this is a way to love myself. So how about I love myself with something nutrient dense? Just a new story. And the 10 years of the fat guy are just going to be the prelude to the super fit guy, and that's okay. I'm okay. I love the fat guy. I love the athlete before that, and I'm going to love the athlete after this. Like, I don't have to hate any part of myself, because I can love myself all the way through, forward and backwards.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful question, or a beautiful statement to say to yourself, and a beautiful question to ask yourself, especially when we have those moments of, let's just say it's right after a binge episode or making a choice that you wouldn't have made. I think it's really hard sometimes to stop ourselves in time and have that presence about ourselves. But what you just said was, how can I love myself right now? I think that stops us in our tracks. And if we're in the middle of a binge, how can I love myself right now? Well, maybe it's putting that bag away or throwing the bag in the trash. If it's post binge, how can I love myself right now? And maybe it's journaling out like I'm worth it. I'll make better. I'm making better decisions or whatever it is. But I think that's a really powerful question and statement for us to ask ourselves and make is how can I love myself right now when we feel like we've messed up? Right.
Well, so think about this, right? So let's go to diets because diets are great. I have a lot of really good experience totally fucking failing at diet.
Same. Me too.
Yeah. You know what? It's always funny. I remember talking to a doctor once on that. He goes, listen, for those of you overweight, you probably know 10 times more than I ever would, even as a doctor. You've tried everything. You've done it all. He's like, yeah, we've got plenty. I've got plenty of shit that doesn't work.
So the thing is, like, if I ever counsel you on how to lose weight and eat perfectly, then you're just telling me I'm full of shit. But I'm a powerfully imperfect human being, right? I can be powerful and imperfect. I can have these flaws and still be a powerful person. Here, watch this. So here's the natural thing, right? The natural thing is, oh, I messed up. I'll start again on Monday. What is magic about Monday? I have no idea. Like Monday is like Monday.
No kidding.
Month and the first Monday, the first of the month, next quarter, and next year. Right? Those are like the 4 magic times, right? Think about this for a second. The earth moves. So when you start to understand what time really is, okay, it's a measure of what? Distance. It's how many miles on your body, right? When you measure an engine's lifespan, you don't measure the engine. You measure the engine not in days that it's been existed, but how many miles it's run.
Miles, yeah, miles. That's it.
Hours, right? So that's what time is. So think about this. I start my diet on Monday because I don't know. Magically Monday is the perfect day. Apparently, it's like the worst fucking day to start. Just for everyone's knowledge, it is not the best day. Everyone doesn't do this. But then I break it on Wednesday, right? Watch this. The earth travels around the sun about 1.6 million miles every day. Okay. You just did, hey, I did good on Monday. That's 1.6 million. Cool. Then I did good on Tuesday. So that's like 3.2 million miles of good choices. Then I'm like, oh, fuck that. Okay. I'll get it next Monday. Now think about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Think about how far. You're literally going like 10 million more miles before you start again. Why would you do that? If your car had a flat tire, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'll fix it in 100 miles. It's fine. I'll fix it.
We're just going to ride this flat for 100 miles.
I'm gonna ride this so flat that the tire explodes, that I need new wheels, the brakes are gone, right? But this is what we do with our bodies because we misunderstand time. Because we think that we'll always have more. But we it's not like we look at time as if it's the oceans, like all 7 oceans on the earth, right? Like one inch of all the oceans on the earth is like 100 trillion gallons of water. And that's how we think about time. Why? Because we don't know how much we have. So our mind plays a little trick on us like, oh, you got time. Like we've put off lots of things. Every time that we put things off, we got plenty of time. No, you don't got time. Nobody has time. You can't put it in your pocket. You can't store it. You have right now, that's it. And guess what? In 3 seconds from now, that now is over and a new now has started. Time is really more like you're walking through the desert for like 4 days. You're about to die of dehydration and suddenly the stream appears out of nowhere. And you don't know where it came from and you don't know how long it'll be there. That's your life.
Yeah.
But when you think of it that way, instead of like the 7 oceans, suddenly you realize like, I got to lap this up.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
So essentially, you know, if we're looking at it as the example from a fitness standpoint, it's the moment the flat hits, right? That's the detour off of where we needed to be. It's not a matter of waiting till the next day it's stopping at that moment, fixing the flat, and then continuing in your journey.
Yeah, just like I ate a Snicker bar, crap. I'm going to eat a salad next. Okay, next meal, I'm going to eat whatever. It might even be a salad. Next meal, I'm going to, you know what, and this is what shifted for me over the last month where like now I'm down 40 pounds. I'm down 8% body fat. My inches, I don't even know. I got to go measure again, but it's like crazy. My clothes, I put this shirt on for this thing today. I was like, oh man, this is big, right? It's a cool fit. My pants are falling off literally right now because my clothes are too big. But why? Because I stopped thinking like, oh, I ate a cookie. I wasn't supposed to eat a cookie Monday. I was like, no, next meal, what am I going to do? Cool. I'll just skip the pasta and eat the protein. And that'll be, a cookie's not a real good trade for pasta, but whatever. It's way better than eating like shit. Imagine if we did this in business. Hey, Rigo, you're paying way too much for marketing, right? Like we just found out that like you're paying $1,000 a month for this guy, you could get it done for $10 a month. Now, what businessman would be like, okay, we'll talk about that on Monday. Or let's talk the first of the month, we're changing this, right? Like that's like an immediate thing. Like, whoa, it's available 1,000% less. We got to make a change right now. We get this in business. We give ourselves permission to do this because it's more of a numbers game. But in our life, we don't. And we lose track. Every second I gain is a second I gain is more of my journey that's lived the way that I want to live. Period. Now, I shared the stage one time and it changed my life. I shared the stage with KRS-One. So that's the guy who sings Sound of the Police and lots of other cool hits, right? I'm not going to say that I'm cool enough to sing any of his music, but he's an amazing. I don't know what I thought.
Say, oot, oot.
That's the Sound of the Police, exactly.
All right, Coach Kevin got it. I was like, it was a really bad. Thank you. That was like a really bad version of that too.
Right over my head. Right over my head.
It's the Sound of the Police.
This is like I was born way too late for that shit.
Go ahead, Coach.
Second life in the second life in the Angry Birds movie. So this guy, I don't know what I expected from him, but he is one of the deepest dudes I ever met. And he talked about his big break in his rap career. He had decided to be a rapper. He realized, I'm an MC. I can do this. I'm going to make it happen. Right now, this is in the very beginnings of rap. He had this rap battle with DJ Shan and KRS-One, right? His mom in the middle found out that he was becoming a professional rapper and threw him out of the house because she believed this was a really terrible plan. So he gets thrown out of the house with his mixtables and his music and ends up living in a homeless shelter. He's 14 years old at a homeless shelter, not sleeping at night because he's protecting his stuff. Because if he loses the turntables and the records, he's in trouble. He can't do this thing that he knows is going to break his life. Like, this is it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win this. And here is my rap career, right? So, I mean, turns out that's exactly what happened. He goes to this rap battle. It changes his entire life. He gets picked up by a label, and the whole trajectory of his life changed. Now, that is a great story and a true one. And I apologize if he ever sees this. I'm sure I told it really horribly, right? But here's the crazy thing. When I saw him, he told that story. He said, you know what I do now? Like, I'll be sitting on a yacht and think about how great my life is now. And I actually take a second and I send love back to that 14-year-old.
Oh, that's
I send a message back to myself at 14 and say, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay, man. Like you're going to make it. This is the moment and this will pay off. And in those sending those messages back to himself, does that matter? Absolutely it matters. Now he gives that credit for him having the strength to do the thing. It's like all these messages I send to myself, they all came at that moment. That's how I stood up and that's how I made it. Because he understands something, that time is not real. We exist. If we are infinite beings, right? So some people think, hey, you died, it's over. Cool. Well, then it's just right now. And then either you mattered or you didn't. If you're an infinite being, right? So this is like mainstream Christianity, almost every religion. Cool. Everything you do goes forward and backward in time endlessly. Right? If you want to talk about Christianity, Jesus dies. It applies to everyone. Both directions, all the way. Love is like that, man. You fall in love with someone, boom, your whole life is there. You find the one person in your life, it's crazy how your whole life rearranges from backwards to forwards. So when we're setting these targets, stop thinking, well, with what I did here, No, there are no limits. Like, time is completely fake. Time is something that lets us meet with people. Thank goodness, because it allows us to connect, have meetings like this. But stop letting time control you. Here's my favorite thing people say about time, okay? I don't have time. Okay, so by show of hands, if you can show everybody on the screen now, who has time? I mean, nobody has time. Where would you put it? Where do you store it in?
Yeah.
Right? You can't have time. You can't own time. You can't control time. It's imaginary. You don't have to, but you can create time. Why? Because I can focus and do something that matters to me right now.
Yeah. Gosh, I love this conversation. I love the idea that time is connection. One of the things that you said at the very beginning was time creates a ton of pressure. And not that we don't need pressure to get stuff done, important stuff done, but we don't need pressure all the dang time, all the time, about all the time and all the things, right? And so I love the idea that time is connection. It allows me to show up for myself, for my people, for my family differently with that in mind. And I also love the idea of being present, being where your feet are, right? I feel like that's a really underlying tone of this conversation, is that you have the right now, and you can make different choices, and you can be who you want to be right now, which is something that we struggle with, right? Because we're looking so far forward and feeling so. One of the questions I got, Coach Kevin, right before we hopped on this call from a client of mine was, I feel like I wasted this week and I wasted time. And so it's hilarious, or not, that we're having this conversation. What would you say to someone that has that feeling or that thought, like, I wasted a week, I wasted time? How would you help them wrap their brain around it not being a waste and it being actually what they needed?
Exactly. Oh, here, I can answer you in one simple question.
Okay.
Let me I'll give you the answer, and then you tell me what the question was. Okay, how about that?
Yes.
If I came here and be like, I wasted a unicorn.
I would say, what are you smoking?
I wasted a leprechaun. I just wasted it. Right? Like, because it was never really real anyway. So what they're really saying is, I'm disappointed with something I wanted to do. I wanted to do something and I didn't do it. Or I wanted to not do something and I did it. Cool. We hide from ourselves with time. We pretend like time is this hard thing.
Oh yeah. I was about to say that again, man. We
hide from ourselves with time because we create this mythical creature called time, and then it's working against us or for us, but it's not. You didn't waste time. You did what you really wanted. Here's one of the mantras that we have here. So like we run on core values here inside of Forge Legend. One of our mantras that we say almost every day is, I am never distracted. And man, when we first were coming up with mantras to say, I was like, that's bullshit, man. We're about integrity, right? Like, here's a guy with the word integrity behind him saying that we're never distracted. But it's true. You're always focusing on what you really want to focus on. You just sometimes pretend like you want to work and actually you want to go fuck off or whatever it is that you really want to do. I'm never really distracted. I'm always really paying attention to the thing I really want to pay attention to. Right. And so I ran out of time becomes this kind of like victim way of saying, well, if there was more time. I mean, how many times have you heard an entrepreneur say, I just wish I had 2 days in a day. I just wish, I used to say this, I don't have enough time. And my grandfather, who was an incredibly successful person, he helped design the lunar landing module on the moon, revolutionized the seafood industry with all sorts of things, right? Including if you drink a green juice, like the technology to create that, we actually had the patent on that. We sold it for like nothing. So like, who would want to drink that? So, oh well. but here's the deal. I would say like, I don't have time for this, and he would say something, Kevin, you have the same 24 hours a day every other human being has. So if you want something another human being has created, the answer of I don't have enough time can't be real. Because we all get the same time. Now we all maybe have different lengths of life and things, but in any given day, you got the same time. So if you're struggling in your industry, you're looking and like, man, I can't get this done. But then there's 5 other companies that do. Well, they have figured something out that you don't. And you better stop using time as an excuse not to figure that out, because time is just imaginary. Now it is real. Like if I got to meet you at 1:00, hey, we're connecting in a certain spot.
I was about to say that it doesn't make it it's the rules don't change. You're just using it now as the tool that it's designed for. Like you said, a social element to identify a place, a time in.
So watch, I'll show you. Like, let's imagine that Rigo is, if you can show the whole screen, it'd be better for everyone. That Rigo is actually on Mars. Okay. Right? This is not hard to imagine, right? And me and Krista are on Earth. And Chris is like, hey, I want to meet you in Scottsdale, Arizona next week. What's a good day? We're like, okay, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Now, what we're really saying is I want to meet you on the globe at this particular spot, Scottsdale, Arizona, whatever this particular restaurant or whatever it is, right? When the Earth is in a certain spot around the sun, when the moon is in a certain spot around the Earth, and when the Earth has rotated a certain percentage for the day. That's what we're really saying. All of that is distance. All of that is coordinates, right? It's like a GPS thing. So that way, me and Krista can both eat pasta and a burger, and she'll say, hey, you gave that big speech about salad. Where's your damn salad? Don't be a horrible teammate and knock it off the table and all your salad crying, whatever it is, right? But that'll happen. Cool, no problem. Now watch how this makes no sense if I'm Rigo on Mars. Hey, let's meet at 1:00. How do you correlate 1:00 on Earth with Mars that is a 42-hour day. I think it's a weird day. It's like 36 hours. I should have looked this up before, but Mars has a day that doesn't quite fit with us, like a 30-something hour day. And the people who work the Mars rover had to change their sleep schedules. Why? Because they had to work when the sun was shining on Mars, which didn't really calibrate with Earth and made it really complicated. Go look that up, right? Mm-hmm. We go on Mars, we're not really saying, hey, let's meet at 1 o'clock. Well, 1 o'clock, which time zone?
Yeah.
And then what would that have anything to do with Mars? It doesn't, right? So when you see how quickly time breaks down, now it's super useful because, hey, me and Krista are smacking burgers off the table and crying and coming together and losing 5 pounds together right in that one meeting because of it. But remember that time is a tool that we invented to connect. And we have a saying, again, in Forge, use the tools. Don't let the tools use you. Time is a tool. It is not the law. It is not an irrevocable reality. It is, I wasted time. No, you didn't. You invested in something that now you see has no value.
All right. This right there, this is so good. Okay, this piece right here, I've wasted time, how we're hiding from ourselves. Okay, this is something right now, Michelle, and I know you're watching, and I know you're like, I told you. My wife right now is sitting there going, what's crazy? Because some people get this just naturally, and I've heard this from Michelle for quite a long time, but I love this. And for those of you guys who are listening, first off, just stop for a quick second, and I want to remind you guys, listen, if you're getting value out of this, I want to know. There's a lot of you dropping stuff in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But this is how it goes. We want you to text. That's not Mars language. That's Earth language. Text. #lunch. Okay. #LUNCH to 316-799-8052. If you are in North America, it doesn't work outside. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Paul. 316-799-8052. What that does is that gets you joining in our community, and I text you every time we go live, and I let you know when we have content. It's that simple. It's that easy. I don't complicate it, but we want you to join our you would call it a mailing list, but it's our texting list. Why? Because it's almost 2022 and a half. Okay, we are well into a new era. I don't use email. Sorry, I hate it. I will text you. So if you don't like it, big deal. But anyways, not lunch, not dinner, excuse me, #lunch. But we want you to join our group. Listen, this is what we're doing with Contagious Leadership. This is why we bring it, to bring you experts, to bring you people that have this insight and have gone through areas in their life, like Coach Kevin. This is why Krista and I bring this heat to you guys. We want you to grow from it, okay? So please, every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time, right here, we go live, and we want you to keep being a part of it, and let us know what you think. We want your comments, and I want to know what we can do to improve and what we can keep bringing to bring you value. Okay, that's it. That's the plug for Lunch Talk. You guys better start following our pages. Period. In the story.
All right. So I want to bring some proof, right? We say show me, don't tell me. Now, because of the format of this, guys, I can't like show it to you or hand it to you through the internet, but I can tell you a story of how understanding that time doesn't exist improved my life exponentially, right? So a lot of people, when COVID hit, there were these really kind of oppressive lockdowns that happened, and a lot of people wanted to like get out, right? So I lived in Orange County, California, Laguna Beach, amazing place. Hope to live there again one day. Lived there, lockdown happens. It just so happens that the lockdown happens and schools get canceled while my kids are visiting from Texas, right? But this creates a huge problem. There's no flights. There's no, like, people are locked down. So now my kids stay. Now my ex-wife is like, oh, you're supposed to send the kids back. But I'm like, hey, there's this thing. I don't know if they're going to die. We're just going to keep them for now. And it was a huge conundrum, right? Like, this was. Like,
I get it. Yeah. It was bad, especially there.
Kidnapping charges in 3 states. Not that I ever got picked up. Two guys laughed. One guy came and said, okay, this isn't kidnapping. But like literally, like police showed up at my house because it's, and I understand from her perspective, like the kids came for a week and then they're there for 2 months and we still don't know what's going to happen. And I get it. Like it's not.
It's crazy. I never even thought about how many other people kind of ran into that kind of situation, getting stuck. I knew clients that were visiting from another country and got stuck, couldn't go back.
Exactly. So
couldn't go back.
So we're there. We realize now, we've thought for a long time, having 2 kids in Texas, flying to California, this isn't really working. We're not seeing them like we used to. What do we do? So my wife and I are walking. This is on a Saturday. And I said, look, between COVID, everything being shut down here, all of the advantages of living here are gone because there's like cops on the beach to keep us away from that. There's cops on the mountain trails to keep us away from that. If we're pretty much locked in a house, what's the point of paying this much rent to be near the beach and mountain trails? You know, so here's the things I think have to line up for us to say it's time to move and we just be close to the kids. So we talk, we walk for like 2 hours and yeah, she agrees. Okay, those are the things. So here's the crazy thing. Between Saturday and Sunday, not of the next week, the next day, all of those things happened. All the announcements came from school. We went on a walk again. I said, hey, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our best move right now is to go to Texas, live with the kids, because that's going to fix everything. They're going to have us. I'll never forget this. My wife says, I trust you. I was like, nope, not this time. Like, yeah, for a lot of things, you can trust me. Me moving you out of paradise to a part of Houston we don't even know. We just know it's next door to the kids. No thanks. This isn't going to be.
I don't want that one. This one is a total crap shot.
We got to both decide this together. So do you agree? You know, if we both agree, I'm going to run at this. Okay. Yeah, we agree. We're doing this. Awesome. We're gonna unify our family. That's Sunday. Now, would you believe me if I said that the next Sunday, so 7 days later, we moved in with all our stuff, slept in our new house in Texas. Our old house was already rented to someone else. The office that I had was already dispositioned to the owner, and we were done. We completely moved ourselves and 5 children. Well, actually 6, because our daughter who was in Tahiti got sent back because of the COVID, right? Ourselves and 6 children across the country from Sunday to Sunday. Why? Because we know time's not real. Because it was just, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, how do we get rid of the office? Call the landlord. Hey, I can't even get in the office legally. I don't know what to do, but I'm out of here. We'll figure it out on the backside. What could I do to make this happen right now? Well, I really like your walking treadmill. Can I have that? Yes. Okay, we'll call it even. I mean, literally, that was the conversation. I'll leave the walking treadmill. We're on. Okay. How do we find a house? Call a real estate agent. Here's where my kids live. Show me everything within 2 miles that's for rent. And you get a bonus of $1,000 if we end up living next door. 2 days later, here's the house we want. Can we move in? No, we're not sure. What if we double the deposit? Sure, we'll do it. Literally, what's the next thing? Well, how do we pack the house? We're going to do it on this day. Well, what's the next thing? Can we get a U-Haul? Luckily for us, it was early in the pandemic before all the U-Hauls were already out of California. In 7 days, we made the decision to move and moved 8 people all the way across the country with 3 cars. Why? Because I know that time's not real. It's the same thing for you. And Krista, you know this. You played, it sounds like volleyball, right? Unless it was some other weird sport where balls hit pinkies and go side out.
Nope.
I played soccer. I don't know what Rigo played, but it was something. There's this crazy thing.
What do I look like? Do I look? Come on, soccer.
Wrestler.
Come on, yeah. Come on now.
Lucha libre.
Third string hockey player. That's what third string hockey.
I'm a wrestler. I'm a wrestler.
How about wrestler? Okay, so but you know that in the last minute of something, a soccer game is 90 minutes long, and in the last 3 minutes is like anything could happen. Somehow for 87 minutes we couldn't score, but in the last 3 minutes, the final score is 3-2. It's not that it had nothing to do with time the whole time. It was how much time we gave ourselves, how much time we believed we had, and so we would rest or not. And
my God, hold on.
Hold on.
Hold
a moment.
Yeah, whoa. Never thought about it this way. For those of us who love sports, what do we always say? There's still time, right? We do not give up on our team till it has to be, what do they say till the fat lady sings, right? There is never a quitting point. You don't quit. You literally to the last second, because what is the goal? It's about the win. So if it's a Hail Mary, because that's what you come down to, are the last second buzzer shot, you don't stop. And so if I'm correlating this right now, it's we don't see time as a crutch versus a tool that we're using to measure the value of how much work we've got to do to get where we want to be. That's just it. And we don't know in life what our time is. We do in a game, but it doesn't stop us, even when the cards are stacked against us.
Well, that's the cool thing about a finite game of like a game, right? Which is why we love sports. It's finite. There's an end, there's lines. I know when you're out or in. I know when I score a point. I don't. In life,
we have a known measurement.
So in life, it's different. But in life, it's to keep playing the game. Like we love sports because they teach us. But here's the thing: the urgency you create in sports. Guess what? You fucking made it up, also. So some lines. Like, I mean, it wasn't like like in the creation of the earth, there's some fish, there's a goat, and there's a volleyball court, right? So someone said, hey, this is kind of fun. We should make some rules. And then over time, we refine them. And then they go to this weird rally point thing. So everyone who learned how to score 20 years ago has no idea how to score anymore and just looks like an idiot on the beach. Like, it's fun. Like that was created, just like time was created, because it lets us do something really fun. Time also was created. If you understand Parkinson's law, which is like a task is going to expand to fill the time that you have to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. This is why, like at the 1.8, 10 seconds at the end of an NBA game could be an hour of TV and 10 points. You know what I mean? Why? Because hey, there's only 10 seconds, so we got to get ahead. We're gonna use whatever time that we have. Your task will tend to expand to whatever time you allow. So you can flip it. Since volleyball was made up, well, so can your life. So you can. What I do every week is I play this game with myself. So I have a primary, secondary, tertiary mission target. Like, here's 3 things that don't have to get done this week that I'm going to make urgent. They're not urgent. I could actually put them off for a month. But these 3 things, I'm going to measure myself against getting these done. Why? Because I'm making a goal line. I am using time as my tool. Like, time is my bitch. I'm not time's bitch. I mean, I wish that was always true. For sure, I'm time's bitch from lots of times. but I have that ability as a human being. We can do that. We can leverage this and say, hey, what can I get done? And what is a game I can play with myself to push this thing forward and not be this victim of time? You are not a victim of time. The fact that every minute.
All right, hold on. I just interrupted that, and we're going to need that for a little short clip real quick. Tell me that again, please, Coach.
You are not a victim of time. The fact that time is passing and will never stop is evidence you are alive. Congratulations, you're a powerfully imperfect human being. The fact that time never stops, that's just your ticket to ride. That isn't some tragedy. That's the blessing of you actually being alive. I don't know what it's like to be dead, but I'm pretty sure they're not watching minutes fly by. Maybe they are. I don't know. Never been dead. If I ever come back, I'll let you know. But that's the thing. You're not a victim of being alive. You're alive. Go create with it. Go live your legend. Like that's what I'm all about. Is really helping people to see. Like, yeah. When we were kids, other people created us. When I was a kid, my mom, my dad, my church, the schools, like there's this whole team of people who created me. But as an adult, that the tools to create me passed into my own hand. I create me. I create my life. And most of us just don't admit it. Like we just pretend like other people are still creating us, and pretending that time creates you is maybe the funniest thing ever.
That's amazing. So one other thing, Coach Kevin, that people say to me a lot is, I don't know how you do as much as you do. I could never do what you do. And when it comes to weight loss and stuff like that, they'll say, well, that's you. That works for you, but it won't work for me because I can't accomplish what you can accomplish in that amount of time. So help me wrap my brain around when somebody brings that to me and says, I'll give you a specific example. There's a person that I'm good friends with. She owns her own business and she says, well, I'm just not like you. I don't take action like you do. And I never have a response for her. Like, I don't know all I ever think is, this is how I've always been. I've been very focused and very action oriented, but she feels like the time that it would take her to accomplish what I do, she just doesn't have. Therefore, time is not the same for us. So how do you explain that?
Yeah, bullshit, right? Like that's the easiest way to do it. But it's here's the thing. So there's 2 things on weight loss that I want to talk about. Okay. Because there is one way in which time is different for me and you. So let's not talk about your friends. I don't know her. Let's talk about Coach Kevin and Krista, right? There is a way, right? And I'm just going to assume, Krista, that you never got as fat as me and you've just been fit the whole time. I don't know that that's true. I'm just making that up.
I like the assumption, but I was there for a minute.
Okay, perfect. So here's the thing, though. right? I'll talk about how time is different for us, and then I'll talk about how not at all. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
The way it is different is, hey, I've been obese for 10 years. Because of that, my metabolism works totally different than a person who's been healthy for the last 10 years. So they're going to make moves that do things that don't work when I make the same move, right? Like I am 300 pounds, I do an Ironman, and I gain 5 pounds and drop my time from when I was 270. Makes no sense, but that really happened, right? Why? Because my body's not working the same. Because I'm in this weird metabolic thing, right? So in that way, you could really but is that time? No, that's not time. That's like a machine that's kind of broken, and now you got to fix it a different way than you had to put it together the first time. Okay, here's the answer. Time is what life is made of. If you really look at it, that's why it's fake, because it's really life is right now, always right now. Okay, but if you really wanted to look at it, why is time the most precious commodity? Your life is where you spend your time. Period. Every choice that you make builds to be the person you are. So if you look at your life, the legend of your life, right? Whatever's going to be left behind when you die, it is the culmination of all of the choices that you made, all of the actions that you took. Now watch this. Your life is the culmination of all of these choices and actions, okay? The creations that you've made. Well, what drives that? Well, what drives that is belief. The things that you believe in, then you'll take action on, right? Well, what drives belief? Well, thoughts, whatever you're thinking about. So, but then what drives thoughts? This is where it gets really fun, and this is where it gets really fucked up in modern society, okay? What drives thoughts? Attention. So from the field of what you're paying attention to, thoughts can grow. And from the field of thoughts that you have, beliefs can grow. And from those beliefs, then actions can grow into the creation that then from that field of creations, your entire life grows. So where your attention is what defines your entire life. We say time because it's kind of like a shortcut for all that shit. It's a lot of things to say, right? So we say, well, time, but not really. It's what was I paying attention to that had me thinking about something, that had me believing things that I then created that now are my life.
Yes. So where your attention goes, your energy flows, right? So whatever we focus on, that's where our energy, that's where our effort, that's where our outcomes are being created. Rigo.
And
I know. I told you.
You can't say that it's different. What your friend is ultimately saying, and again, I don't know, you're probably a wonderful person, maybe a better person than me, but what you're ultimately saying is
Chris is terrible. You haven't watched the show, obviously. She's mean. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Chris. I'm like, Chris, she's mean. Nobody likes her.
What your friend is ultimately saying is, you have more value than me. You're a better human being. I'm not even going to try to aspire to you, which is terrible. It's not true. It just isn't true, because I can guarantee you that she's built a lot of other things that you haven't done. Absolutely. With that, wherever it is she invested that attention, that grew to thoughts, that grew to beliefs, that grew to actions, that grew to creations, that grew to her life.
And, I can relate to even just that statement that you made. I mean, haven't we all felt like that at some point, that we are not good enough or talented enough, but it's because we're comparing ourselves to a totally different distance than the other person has gone or taken, right?
Check this out. I have 5 kids, right? Mm-hmm. You're talking about coaching a lot of moms, right? Watch this. Who in the hell has time to raise a kid? No one.
Zero.
No, let's do 5 of them. Right? It's like it's 3 a.m. They're puking for the 4th time, and the other one's crapping down the hall. And what do? Right? Like, but what you make time with what? With your attention that's followed by effort that then ends up being your results. Like, nobody's ready for a baby. Like, nobody. If we waited to be ready for a baby, there would be like one baby ever, and then it'd be like, whoa, we can't do this, and that's the end, right? But you create capacity. We have inside of us a divine nature that we can reach down into, right? And in order to do that, we got to go past threshold. Like, what is threshold inside of a workout, or inside of your ability to do business, or inside of your ability to connect with other people in your family, whatever? Threshold is the line between you and the divine. And when you go past threshold, guess what? You expand and you touch into that line. So, and a lot of people do that with fitness, right? Like, that hasn't really been my way. It has in endurance fitness. So, like, I just go far, right? Mm-hmm. But fitness is kind of the easiest way to touch that threshold. And you see people doing that, but there's lots of ways to do it. And we got to do that, but it has nothing to do with time. Don't tell me you don't have time, because you're the same 24 hours as everyone else. You have the same right now as everyone else. So, you know, Viktor Frankl talks about this moment in his past in a Nazi death camp where he was saved on accident. He actually ran into the guard. He bumps into the guard who's saying go left or right, right? The one way you die and one way you live. And because he bumped into the guy, he changed lines, which meant he lived. Like, this is how he lived. He just kind of bumped into a guy. It's very random, right? At a point, he's watching people walk into these ovens, and they know that they're going to die at a point. They know what they're walking into. And at this point, they're naked. They've been shaved of all their hair. They have nothing. Like, they didn't even own their own hair. They are stripped to nothing. And still, those people were able to create and had a choice of how they walked in, of who they were when this thing that they could not control happened to them, right? They still had, quote unquote, time to live the fullest version of themselves with whatever was about to happen. And he talked about watching the line, and you could see who was rising to this and who was falling and who was creating an entire new self in the last 5 seconds of their life. And that's why time is bullshit. Just
I love it.
Do it right now, because that's all you ever had anyway.
And really, one of the things that you said, I'm gonna, you know, just as we kind of come to a close, the biggest impact that I'm getting out of this is understanding that this distraction or this aspect of it, I don't have time. It's where am I putting the value of that time? So where's that attention going? So it's not being distracted as much as it is that I am being completely attentive to something else that is getting my attention, that is taking into and developing my thoughts. This process doesn't change. You know, one of the things that we talk about with our clients quite a bit is, in order to build a level of trust and understanding for people to connect with them in their service or product or who they are, it's a matter of gaining attention. And I love that you brought this up, because I'd never thought about time and our story and all of these really in the same process. And understanding that it's this aspect of attention and then thought and then action and so on and so forth to be in where we are right now. Taking a massive amount of value from this conversation, Coach, is really understanding that when I am not focused on my priority that I have identified, right? Nobody identifies the urgency or priority other than myself based on the measurement of this value that we call time, and when I said or when I need to have something done. And really what it comes down to is really, what do I want? And owning that. And I think that's a huge element right there, is we have to own it. We have to own the fact that I have not made choosing to eat a certain way or exercise within the frame of time that I'm up important enough.
Where in order to get anywhere in life, or in anything, but in life, you got to know where you are and where you want to go.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I don't want people to hear me saying time is not. I could pull up my calendar right now. It's full of things. I calendar all the time. I plan, because that lets me maximize, right? Where you are tells me who you are and what you are, like where you are. And time is a measure of where. So when you look at your calendar, I can tell you what's important to you because of where you were. And if you look, so many people, like, what is the purpose of your life? Like your friend, right? I want to lose 30 pounds. Well, where is it on the calendar? Then why aren't you in the places that do that? Whether that's preparing meals, or it's not about a certain place. It's what percentage of this distance you traveled was even moving you 1 inch towards that thing. And what you find with people who are masters at something, it has nothing to do with some unique special ability. It has to do with a whole lot more time. Kobe Bryant, I saw this great interview with him the other day about how he got ahead of all of his NBA peers. He's like, yeah, we tend to work out 3 times a day. So I woke up at 4 a.m. and did a 2-hour workout then, and then did the 3. And when you do a fourth workout instead of 3 for 4 years, you're so far ahead, you're 2 years ahead of everyone. So it's very hard for him to keep up. But that's all just a function of where he was. He put himself in the place that he wanted to dominate. And we have to look at our life. So where am I spending my attention that turns to thoughts, that turns to belief, that turns to creation? And your calendar's a great record of that. Go look last week, how much of that time allocation even moved you towards anything you actually want in your life.
Oh, I love that. Rigo, so much value out of this conversation. I cannot wait to bring one little nugget of this to my world, to my kids. that last piece about where you spend your time, that will resonate with my kids so much. And wow, I'm so glad that time allowed us to have this conversation today, because I think it will impact a lot of people. Thank you so much.
I do too. Coach Kevin, thank you so much for being on Lunch Talk. Let's give it a little round of applause, Donnie. There we go. See, great studio audience. All right, listen, you guys, listen, if you're getting value from this, I cannot thank you enough for your participation. Continue to drop things in the comments here. I'm going to do something as well. If you want to know more about Coach Kevin and about what he's doing with Forge Legend, I'm dropping it in the chat. You guys go check out his webpage, see what he's doing specifically in the lives of business owners, entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter. It's about, men seeking to find really a true place in their life in becoming the greatest versions of themselves. I can tell you this personally, spending time with Coach in a number of different formats. This man knows how to motivate. I'll tell you that. Okay. And he helps you identify a lot of stuff. Coach, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Much respect. Thank you for sharing all of these nuggets too with our audience.
Thank you.
Hey, if you have any final words for anybody before we let go, we are a little over time, but I want to give you that opportunity.
Here's my final words. I just want to correct Krista. Time did not allow us to do this. We made time our bitch and we created it. None of us have time.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
We just made this.
We made that happen. We did this.
I love it. Listen, if you haven't joined our community group, not our email list, but our community group, please do so. Text lunch. Send us an email if that works. Drop something in the chat and let us know that you want to be a part of this. You want to know when we bring the next show. You guys, I told you we've got an amazing leadership series coming in the month of April. You do not want to miss this. We are going to stack the month with incredible guests that are going to be dropping heat just like this, just like Coach Kevin. Go find Coach Kevin. He's got his LinkedIn page. You can find him on Facebook, depending on, it doesn't really matter where. He's on all these different platforms, but check out his website. You guys you're not going to be disappointed. As always, Krista and I are so happy to be here and serve you. Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. We will talk to you soon. Donnie, why don't you go ahead and get us out?